Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of MTG Study Hall. We were talking in the pre-show about figuring out how many episodes we've done. This is episode 2 of our new 52-esque reboot. Sorry for the delay in the show. Last week, we had some technical difficulties, which are obviously solved, so we apologize for having to bump the show back a week. Before we launch into everything, I have a little bit of business to take care of. First of all, you can support the show by checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, by going to those respective websites /TCG University. We are also available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. If you want to rate us 5 stars or like or do whatever you do on any of those respective platforms, it's very helpful. Also, letting someone you know about the show is also very helpful, helps us get more viewers. I want to say thank you to all our Patreon junior or higher sponsors: Addy, Andrew Dang, Anthony Albano, Bryce Rathsack, Clay Cardwell, Jacob Arshin Masur, Jay Rogers, Jesse Servin, Jesse Morrison, Jesse Nix, Justin Farst, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Kieran Vision, Kyle Kraz, oh boy, that's the one that Tam always messed up, Kyle K, Lucinda Letica, Orlando Valdez Santos, Paul Casagrande, Ransom MacArthur, Samantha Stevens, the baddest bitch around, Sean O'Brien, Timothy Freelieb, Tamers Evolution TCG, and Tyler Zane Pease. Additionally, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors: Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop, Red Riot Games, Cards Custom Build, Inked Gaming, and Dex Protection. We will go more into depth on those at the ad break. So now we're going to get rolling. So what have we been doing the past 3 weeks in Magic? Lil, you want to start us out?
I have been playing Kaldheim Sealed and Floundering in Brawl.
Sealed, huh?
Yeah, Sealed. I don't know. Like I like Sealed better than Draft for a few reasons. Like I like the here's what you have. This is what you have to work with. Do the best that you can element of Sealed over Draft.
Yeah, I haven't played a lot of the Sealed. I just imagined that the Sealed and the Draft are probably pretty vastly different in this format, just because of how incredibly synergy driven and limited it is in this format. If you don't have the ability to draft a specific archetype, I can imagine that Sealed can get pretty clunky.
And I mean, I don't know. I like games that are necessarily clunkier. Like I think there's more opportunity to like play well and make sort of odd outside the box plays in games where you're dealing with a lot of lurchiness of the game.
Right. I mean, yeah, the draft has come down to like I can win with 4-color snow piles, or I can win with red white aggro, and that's about it.
I would be good to know.
There's like a really like when I have done well with Sealed, it's because I've got enough cards to do like a either red black or a Murdu kind of Boast focused deck. Sure. Like Boast plays really well in limited, I feel.
Yeah, Boast and Foretell are both fantastic mechanics.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Alrighty. Eric, what have you been up to doing Magic since the last show?
Mostly just getting ready for the release of the set. We started pre-orders at the shop about 2 weeks ago, and had all the pre-release stuff last week. So that's basically taken up all my free time, Magic related wise. And then I've been playing a ton of drafts on Arena, and I've been dabbling in some historic decks and some standard decks here and there, just because it's been so long since I played Constructed. I wanted to give it a try again, but I haven't gotten super deep dives on any of that stuff yet.
Well, okay. And JC, what have you been up to?
Well, I dropped to 4th in Chandelar, so I've been speedrunning that a little bit and trying to reclaim my title. I did actually fire up Arena and play a draft and working through some masteries and buying some packs, so I'm doing the thing. I also bought a signed foil Aether Hub by Jonas DeRoe, because I like buying signed cards because they're swaggy, and also like I just dig magic art, so I really like his backgrounds and buildings, and he has some lands in the recent set. I especially like his swamp. I think it is most good. So
Did you just find a signed one online somewhere, or did you reach out to the artist?
the eBay, he actually will not sign cards unless you send him like 500 cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I am not dissing artists and how they choose to monetize their stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. As
I
for
dig your
me,
art, dude. If you're watching,
I mean, I assume that most important Magic artists watch the show. I mean, all of R&D, Mark Rosewater in particular. Yeah, Hasbro shareholders.
Oh,
The political elite. Yeah, this is a place that
Hasbro shareholders to the moon, Diamond Hands.
Oh god. Me, I haven't done a ton of Magic stuff. I've been really just like playing a lot of video games recently. Played a little Commander in Paper. I'm excited to open my Kaldheim packs tomorrow because I got a bunch of set boosters. So, or I guess 2 boxes. Yeah, I got plenty of cards to open, guilt free because they're set boosters, which I love. So that's going to be me tomorrow, and then I did a couple Kaldheim drafts yesterday just to kind of get a feel for the set, and I didn't do very well. First one was going okay, but I literally hadn't played with the cards yet. And second one, I tried to pivot like 3 times because like second pack I got a Planeswalker that was totally out of my colors, and then third pack I got another Planeswalker that was in my initial colors but not my pivoted colors. It didn't go well. I went 2 and dead both drafts. So I'm excited to hear what y'all have to say about Limited. So maybe I can lose less as I go forward. I liked the set; it was fun. But we will actually talk more Kaldheim later in the show. That's me. Before we get to just general Kaldheim experience and feelings on the set, we wanted to talk a little bit about a new upcoming game, which is Magic Legends. JC, do you wanna give the folks a little bit of detail about that?
Yeah, so Magic Legends, it's a video game that started its hype in 2020. Essentially, they got some trailers out, they got some gameplay out. You are going to be playing a Diablo-esque type game from that isolinear viewpoint on generated maps, so it's very Diablo feeling. Your spells will be based on actual Magic cards, and you will be playing as a Planeswalker, and it's supposed to have very Magic feel, so you cycle through different spells that are like based on cards that will be on a hotbar. And it's going to be multiplayer as well as single player, and they're planning to start the open beta here in March. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been a big fan of Diablo for a long time, and as a person who likes the things that the video games that Magic puts out around their IP, bring in those card games to the video game arena. I'm excited.
How do you feel about them having gutted the white mage that existed in early alpha and splitting up its abilities between the other 4?
I was trying to did they cut Gideon or something? It took me a second there.
Cutting out a Johnny. No, I get that for some elements of the game that they want to have the gameplay be exciting, and they want to balance the classes, and honestly they're in alpha, and they're pushing into beta, so the content choices that they make at the moment, like I'm sure they had good reason.
Wait,
for
that actually
No,
happened?
that's the fake. They made that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, yeah, no, that just sounded like okay. I was like, if that actually happened, I was going to have to just die.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know that actually happened, but I know they have made changes since their initial alpha. So
I think really
speaking broadly, whatever choices they want to make, that's on them for now.
Lily, you were just making a crack at Wizards' inability to print reasonable white cards and respect white's color pie, right?
Yeah, yes.
Side note, more and more I'm getting the vibe that Mark Rosewater is locked in a small room and just is only allowed a Tumblr account, because he says a lot of things, then they don't happen, like that crow form or whatever. Should have been a white card. And like, yeah, counter spells are in white's part of the color pie. And then nothing. So, Mark, if you're in trouble, like, I don't know, send us a message in Morse code via Tumblr. I won't be able to read it, but somebody will.
The thing I like about them making video games based on cards is that Magic is an ever-evolving kind of format kind of thing. So playing through Chandelar, I see cards in there that just don't, exist. Like, people don't play these cards anymore, either because they're weird Power 9, cards and that nobody plays, or they're things that were culturally sensitive and that have been banned, or like they're just bad and nobody plays them anymore. Plus, like, they're weird Oracle cards and stuff in that game. So I'm actually excited that, we're kind of in a system now where you can continually push updates to games. And so they could update the spell lists and rebalance them and stuff like that. But you can't imagine that they'll tweak it too much. So when it actually comes out, we'll get a picture of spells that are kind of based on Magic as Magic is right now.
I'm hesitant. I'm cautiously optimistic, we'll say. Like, Chandelar looks interesting, and I enjoyed, like, the Duels of the Planeswalker games before Arena came out, but, like, the only other Magic video game I've had experience with was that, like, weird, like, PlayStation 1 or 2 era one that was in no way playing with cards, but, like, it had some of, like, the art, and, like, I vaguely remember playing, like, versus in that game against some friends. I don't remember what the game is.
Magic the Gathering Battle Mage.
Are you talking about Battlegrounds, the one where you're like, it's like a fighter?
Yeah. But like, you still generate mana, so like your mana production's on your side of like the fighting arena, and you've got to go like run and pick it up, and you're like the enemy can run in and steal your mana from your side of the fighting arena. Yep. Is that
and yeah, it was on Xbox, and
right.
Yeah, and you could do counter spells, but only if you hit the button at exactly the time that your opponent hit the button to do an attack. Like, the window for trying to counter a spell was literally like less than a second. It was absolutely absurd.
I only played that game like once or twice. I did not remember it being very good. So like, I love card-based games, but I'm hesitant. Like, I'm curious. Like, I'm not a huge Diablo guy, but I like Hades. Like Hades is an isometric like dungeon hacky slashy game, and like I really like card battle games. Like, I talked about Dicey Dungeons in the pre-show, like that old Kingdom Hearts Game Boy Advance game where you like have to like fight with cards. Like, I like a nice card battle game, so like I don't love the Diablo normal style, just like, wow, hotbar, these are your 4 abilities. So the idea of like a shuffling one is appealing, but I'm curious, like, I'm interested to see if that was the best decision to get good gameplay, or if we're going to get a thing where it's like, we want this similar to the IP, so we're going to make this like less than intuitive system that's going to try to feel like cards, but really it's just going to feel like my Diablo hotbar keeps switching positions every 30 seconds.
That's how it works?
I don't know. I watched the trailer.
Like the shuffling.
Hello, everybody. This is Tip Top MTG here to
things at the same time.
Sorry about that.
For the new game?
Yeah, for the new game.
For the new game, you're going to have like a 4 ability kind of hotbar, and what the gameplay looks like is that you can swap between a certain number of them. You actually see it if you play Final Fantasy online or anything like that with a controller instead of with a keyboard. I think you could do that with WoW too. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think you could play WoW with a controller, and it'll cycle through different hotbars.
Kind of. There's some stuff that just doesn't work with the controller.
Which I would rather, generally, unless I'm playing a shooter, I'd rather be on a controller. So, like, as someone who doesn't like standard WoW hotbar kind of games, I'm intrigued. I like Magic. I like the option that it looks like you can play as like the normal planes, like the regular cast of Planeswalker. So, like, getting to play Chandra, getting to play a multiplayer game. I like the Magic universe, so like I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm a little worried that sometimes it feels like, oh, we'll do this gimmick, so it's like Magic. Here's this gimmick, so I'm hoping it's not a gimmick. I'm hoping it like executes well.
Yeah, so it's built as like you make tactical decisions. You build a deck of spells from your library, which will be drawn at random as you fight. So they're still incorporating a deck building mechanic to it.
I'm hoping gives us the opportunity to play Magic as Richard Garfield intended, with half mountains and half lightning bolt.
Auntie, anyone?
Half mountain, half lightning bolt. No, I think half mountain, half lava axe, good sir.
Well, I feel like you probably want to go like 1/3 mountain, 2/3 lightning bolt, but
I mean, fair. That's basically how you play Chandelar right now.
I do appreciate that Chandelar you have to play the best color, and the disc is the best color, so best color being red, obviously. Eric, do you have any thoughts or feel like, and you don't play as many video games, is this something you might check out, or is this just out of your wheelhouse?
I signed up for the beta
a
year ago or whatever when they first put out the thing, and then promptly completely forgot that it existed. I've never played a game like it. Never played Diablo, never played anything, Neverwinter Nights, anything like that. So my interest in it is purely based on its connection to Magic, and I will probably actually jump into it right away, if at all.
I think I'm actually registered. I think now that you say that, I think I am too registered for the beta from like over a year ago.
Yeah,
16 decades ago.
It was a very, very long time ago when they were like, "Hey, put your name on the email list for beta," and then we just didn't hear another thing about it for like an entire year.
The email about like pre-ordering like different skins like literally today before the shot. Like, yeah, here we go. There's a Planeswalker bundle because it's gonna be free to play, right? Which that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I think it's gonna be free to play, but also with like, micro payment.
Okay, yeah, which I mean, it looks like right now they're talking about costumes. I'm okay as long as they don't lock too much gameplay. Like, I don't want important gameplay stuff locked behind microtransaction, but like, I don't mind if a game's good. I'll spend some money on some cosmetics.
Oh, looks like I signed up for the beta on December 13th of 2019.
Oh, in the long ago.
Four times.
In the before times, yeah. I think Wizards had made announcements about it, and we were all probably like, "Cool, I'll sign up for the beta." And then, like,
I think we talked about it on the show. Yeah, over a year ago.
Did we talk about it?
Did.
Yeah. Oh man.
Shows how many episodes we've done. But yeah, the open beta is supposed to start in March. So
okay. Well, honestly, that amount of delay makes me feel better because, like, if they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this game," and then they took that amount of time, I'd rather they take their time than Cyberpunk 2077 it. Which I'm just going to refer to rushing out a game as that for a very long time.
Oh yeah. Like when Shadowlands delayed, I was super reassured by how it was going to be and have not been disappointed.
Yeah. So
I'm actually excited too because part of the development team is Cryptic Studios, and they made City of Heroes, which is a really beloved MMO that had a whole private server debacle and stuff. It's actually that whole story is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't it shut down and then somebody like reopened like a different server to host the game?
Yeah, the TLDR on it is that the game was profitable, but like in a like I hate to relate this to stocks in any way, but imagine you have a part of your portfolio that's growing 2%, and you could instead sell that for something that's growing a lot more. So the game was technically profitable, but they wanted to refocus their energies somewhere else. So they shut down the MMO, even though people were playing it and, were excited about it. But, not enough people. It didn't take off well in the Asian markets. It didn't do very well any place except the United States. And anyway, the story goes that someone that was a dev smuggled the source code out of the office and distributed it to some people who were running private servers ever since the game shut down. And it wasn't until last year that somebody leaked that these private servers existed, because there was a whole like save the game kind of movement, and people were talking to NCSoft to like release the game, the source code, and we'll just buy it from you, we'll make something. And then it comes out that like the source code had been kind of in the wild all along, just everyone was like, don't talk about Fight Club about it. But then it got talked about, and so like basically it got spread like really wild, and now there's private servers like everywhere and of questionable legality.
It sound when you're talking about the profitability, it sounds exactly like Epic and Unreal Tournament and Paragon when Fortnite got really big, where they just canned everything that wasn't Fortnite and dumped all their money into Fortnite, which is a bummer when you're a fan of the game that gets shut down. Because
yeah,
I played a lot of Paragon back in the day, and a similar thing happened where Epic just like, fine, here's all the character models. Like 3 or 4 studios are trying to make a new Paragon, but sorry, that's way off there. But I'm excited tentatively for the video game, and when it comes out, I'm sure we'll all. I mean, we could do a 4-member cast stream of it. I would be down for that.
I would like to. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Sure.
Okay.
Definitely talk me into giving it a try.
Okay, cool. And whenever one of us dies, we could take a shot or something. I'm not above drinking and playing. Or we could
Are you allowed to drink on Twitch?
Nope.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, then never mind.
You are allowed to drink on Twitch, but you're not allowed to act a fool on Twitch. So basically, like, you can drink, but like if you're obviously like drunk and ranting, they will ban you.
Can you act a fool if you're sober? Asking for a friend.
Depends. Like, I think. Yeah, it's
Aginator's still streaming, so
it's kind of one of those things. Like on any social media platform, I guess you can act a fool as long as people aren't offended.
Or if you're the president. Anyway, not talking politics.
Hey, he got banned.
Yeah, promptly, right?
Right, very swift action on Twitter's part.
Any final thoughts on Magic Legends? New upcoming game.
No, I hope it's good. I like seeing them release video games around Magic, even if they are of questionable goodness.
No, I mean I agree. I'd rather they take the Games Workshop at the idea of just let whomever mess with the license, and we'll get bad games, we'll get good games, instead of the Star Wars license where one company gets to do this and they get to control everything. So yeah, I like Magic games. I'd love to see more Magic IP. I want the damn Netflix show. I want a movie, which I think got canned. So
I'll throw a link to the trailer for the game in the show notes.
But yeah, so that's that. And so we are going to move on to Kaldheim. But before we do, we are going to take a quick break. So we're going to have a word from our sponsors, and then we will be right back.
Hello, and welcome to the ads. This episode is brought to you by Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. At Nuclear Ink, you will find an inclusive environment with artists that share your interests in nerd culture and fandoms alike. Nuclear Ink prides themselves on being Omaha's premier all-custom tattoo shop. So if you're looking for a custom tattoo, please check out Nuclear Ink here in Omaha, Nebraska. Link will be down in the description down below. They're cool guys over there. If you're in the Omaha area and you want to get a tattoo, please go check them out. They're very nice friends of the show, and we like them a whole lot. This episode is also brought to you by Cards Custom Builds. Are you into cosplay? Are you looking to get into cosplay? Well, then Cards Custom Builds is here to help. Cards Custom Builds creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, and weaponry, all the way to full costumes. Their work is guaranteed to make you the talk of the con. So head over to Cards Custom Builds either on their Facebook or their Etsy account. The link will be down in the description down below. And make sure you mention TCG University to get 5% off your entire order. I've seen a lot of Clay's costumes that he's made. I forgot the word even though I've said it 20 times. They're all very, very cool. It's really awesome work, and Clay's a real cool guy. It's Tam's dad, and you should really go check it out. If you want to get into cosplay when this entire pandemic is over, that is an excellent place to start. This episode is also brought to you by Dex Protections. Dex Protections is our never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their design and innovation comes from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you, so they know what you want in the products that you buy. They are constantly taking in feedback from their customers. Then they have no plans to stop their innovations or their drive to refine their products until they are recognized as the leader in the industry. I can't read very well. They make a terrific product, all with the avid gamer and collector in mind, so go ahead and check them out Link will be out in the description down below. They make cool stuff, and when we can finally go out again, you're gonna want to snazz up all your cards that you're going to be bringing with some cool new boxes and stuff. So please go check them out. Dex Protections, link is in the description down below. And lastly, I would like to talk with you about Red Right Games. They're a Canada-based online seller of MTG, Pokemon, and Universes cards. They are friends of the show. Great guys. We like them a whole lot. And if you go to redrightgames.ca, you can use our creator code TCGU when you check out, and you can help support the show. So please, if you want to get some new cards for the new year and get ready for all the fun tournaments that you're going to go to, please go to redrightgames.com or redrightgames.ca. They're in Canada and they're not in the US, so it's not .com. And please buy from them. It would mean a whole lot to us. Thank you, and back to the show.
Welcome back, everybody. So we are going to spend the rest of the show just talking Kaldheim impressions. So we've actually gotten a chance to play with the set. It has been out on Arena now for 1 full week, I believe. So it seems like we've all played a little bit. Who wants to start out? Eric, you said you've done a lot of limited?
I've probably done like 15 drafts or so, maybe. Haven't had a ton of success. Every time, it feels like I keep trying to force different things, and every time it seems like I keep going back to the same thing, which is these random like 3 or 4 colored piles with where I literally take all the snow dual lands over otherwise playable cards just so that I can have all the most powerful cards in synergy in the latter half of the draft, basically. And those tend to do fairly well. The other archetype that I've seen a lot of people have lots of success with is like the either mono white or mono red or red white aggro decks that sometimes play as few as like 15 or 14 lands and just have a really, really low curve. And you just overrun all the decks that are trying to put together all of these piles of synergy based goodness. They can't fend off the initial rush. So, like I said, I'm maybe just a shade above 50% on my wins though, so I'm not exactly. I haven't gotten it yet either,
Yeah, I did too. And like whenever I do the first draft, normally I just honestly I'll look to see what my first or second rare is, and it's like, oh, here's a signpost uncommon or here's a 2-color rare. I guess I'll try see if I can go red green. So like the first one I got a decent red green card. And I just try to do just a red green kind of snowy whatever that red green. I think because red green cares about snow. I think that's one of those are. That's red.
There's no split between.
Yeah, there's blue and black and red and green all have like snow matters stuff pretty heavily. White is the only color that really doesn't have much in the way of snow.
And white seems like it's doing some kind of artifact enchantment sub-theme stuff. Because white and red want equipment.
Red and white both have runes and equipment and vehicles matters. Because you've got the dwarves with the vehicles, and then you've got the runes that can enchant equipment or creatures or
vehicles.
Can they? I guess they're enchant permanent. Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Oh,
I put it on my opponent's land once to cycle it.
Yeah.
YOLO.
Don't put it on a snow land though, because if they have that avalanche collar or whatever, then that thing that could backfire pretty badly.
Man, so gosh, I've been playing mostly Seal, and I've been doing well enough that I can get usually 2/3 of my gems back. And so I've done 8 or 10 sealed events on there, and I really like how the different pieces that the set has some pretty well-defined archetypes, but the pieces of those archetypes play really well together. It feels like a very thoughtfully designed cube.
I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah, there is a lot of cross archetype synergy.
No, I just really love changelings. I really liked it when they brought it into Modern Horizons. I think it just opens up so many nice options. I like I like tribal that isn't just like Lorwyn-esque. Here are the 5 2-color combos. Here are the tribes in those colors. Like, it's weird to be like, oh, I can take this card because it's good enough, but then it's got some upside for a tribe. What do I have the most of? Okay, I have a lot of warriors, so I guess I've kind of got a warrior tribal sub-theme, but I'm also kind of doing this different one. So, like, I always like that. I always find that exciting, and I'm glad that they kind of stumbled on, like, that the need for, I think how they refer to it is as glue for tribal things. And so it's not even like a full tribal set, but like it feels like it can be, because it's like, oh, there's an elf deck in this draft somewhere probably.
Well, so the thing about tribal as... Oh, go ahead, JC.
I was just going to play off of that. There's a lot of angels in this set too.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that. And a lot of them are Valkyries, and they're very thematic. They have stuff that has to do with cards in your graveyard and how much life total you have, and that's cool.
And we're also getting some, like, they're finally enabling some, like, as someone who lives with someone who really likes playing angel decks, it's nice that they're finally giving some tools to angel decks. It's not in the main set, but I think it's in the set boosters and the theme boosters, where we actually have like the Dragon Speaker Shaman equivalent for, like, just angels cost 2 less. And so it's nice to see some cheaper options that kind of round out those just kitchen table or commander deck tribal decks that people really like the tribe, but most angels are like 5+ mana. So I'm glad they're giving us tools, and yeah, it was such a great opportunity. I also really like white-black angels, and I'm glad they leaned into that.
Oh yeah,
agree. And I like that, seeing that, you know, it's angel cleric or angel wizard, or, you know, like things like that too, because that allows you know, wizard tribal or something like that, and you can like rope more things into it. I don't know that we've ever had angel wizard before.
Well, and that's I think leaning into the party, so this set's more playable. They're really leaning into class tribal, because I mean I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of class tribal, because I'm assuming Strixhaven will have it, and then
we're getting a literal D&D set. So
yeah.
Well, so
oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I think as far as like how well does the set play with itself? How well do these like intersecting archetypes play with each other? I think the current design of having tribal like as a flavor that's present in the design versus the main flavor of the design has led to some really good limited play.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I didn't do like a ton of Lorwyn stuff, but I've done some Ixalan, particularly on Arena. And yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer when you go like, okay, I am in Vampires 100%. Right. I would enjoy more. It's like, ooh, okay, here's another elf card. I could probably grab a couple elves and have some elf stuff happening, and the elves are also playable enough that, like, in my green-red deck, I ran that like 3/2 for 4 that comes into play with a 1/1. Like, that seems super playable. Sure.
Right. That's what I was going to say, is that basically they found kind of a sweet spot with the tribal element of this set, in that not only do you have the changelings, which you can easily slot in to supplement pretty much any tribal matters cards that you might have, but the tribal matters cards themselves that do exist do not require you to commit to having your entire deck being that way. Most of them just care, like, if you control something of this, or if you can, or if they're less less reward you for going all in on the tribal archetype than they do just having those available to you. Like that card that does that impulses or whatever, but lets you do it again for 1 mana if you have a giant. Like, that card's super playable because there's giants in like 3 of the colors, and you can just kind of count on having one in play at late game most of the time.
Well, and with the changelings and the specific like tribal support changelings that are there is this element that rewards you not just for like drafting a tribe, but like even if you don't have like a tribal deck, of just knowing the composition of your deck and knowing your outs.
Yeah, like I think of like Reflections of Littjara and stuff like that. Like I think they put some tools in there that like do favor that kind of tribal.
Oh yeah. I had a game where like the reason I won is because I'm like, well, I know I've got 2 of those like 4/2 reach spiders in my deck, right? And my only out here is I play this naming spider and then I draw 1, right? And it worked. It worked out for me, and I ended up being able to like turn back the momentum of the game. And like, I don't know, like having the variable tribal stuff is, I think, adds a lot of dimensions to gameplay that wouldn't be there otherwise.
JC, I wanted to ask, so you said how much limited did you get a chance to play?
Oh, honestly, just a few games. I've bought a bunch of packs, but I have not played super much yet. I've been kind of trying to look through and see what I want to build and stuff like that. But I've played a couple drafts, lost both of them.
Yeah, the set seems complicated. Like I haven't been playing a ton of Magic, honestly, and I'm glad I had to sit there. It's like, okay, we're doing the show tomorrow. I have to play Magic, so I kind of made myself sit down to play some Magic. And I'm really glad I did. And like, I've been thinking about it. So like, I should jump back in there. And, there's something we don't have to spend a whole chunk of time talking about it. I do want to gripe a little bit. So I have not gotten a chance to play Brawl with the new set, but I've gotten a fair amount I've been reading the subreddit. Kaz's been playing some Brawl, and something that has been a continuous problem since the onset of the format is Wizards' insistence on printing 5-color good stuff legendaries, which I understand there is absolutely a large portion of the casual player base, and I think particularly the kitchen table player base, that loves some 5-color. So like, I'm not here to say no 5-color ever, but we went from Golos to 5-color Niv Mizzet to Kenrith into the new it's the tree. It's the tree, and I can't think of the god on the front of the tree.
It's not the tree. The tree is the land. It's the bridge.
The bridge. Okay.
Prismatic bridge, yeah.
Which is like, and I was Mr. excited about having non-creatures in the command zone because I really like that. But having a 5-color legendary enchantment that gets to cast a free spell or get a permanent in the battlefield every upkeep.
Creature or planeswalker.
Oh, okay,
you flip until you hit a creature or planeswalker.
Till you hit. So you're yeah. It's like, from what I've heard, and from the games I've seen Cat play, and from what I've seen on Arena, we're getting a very similar situation to Brawl. Unless you're going super fast, you can play enough tap lands to generally hit your 5-color commander on turn 4 or turn 5, and then you're now dealing with a bunch of extra value. Mizzet, or just like Golos, or just like Kenrith. And now we get the added bonus of it's an enchantment. So good luck, red-black deck.
Oh, yeah.
By Rika's whatever.
I had been playing, like Croak says.
Feed the Swarm, bro.
Which one's Feed the Swarm?
Oh, my lord. So I've been playing Kroxa. That's been like my go-to like Brawl deck the whole time it's been legal, right? And I got paired against it once, and I'm like, okay. I literally had Feed the Swarm in my hand, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm picking apart their hand, taking out their ramp spells and all that. It gets around to turn 5. They cast it. I kill it. And I'm like, okay. Then they just play 2 more lands, and then they cast it again. And now I'm losing, even though like turns 1 through 5 were literally perfect. Like, I could not conceive of a better way for it. I had like it, like turn 1 duress into turn 2, like the other targeted discard that exiles it, and just like play by play, every turn was perfect. It didn't matter.
And we have Arcane Signet, which I'm glad exists, but like, does Brawl need that good of fixing? Like, I appreciate that they try to keep archetypes up, and I love it when they try to make 3-color commanders a thing. And I think they did a great job by being able to make a couple gods that are like the god, the snow god, where it's green and then black. Like, I really like that.
He's so dreamy.
He's very dreamy.
Oh god, that is one attractive piece of cardboard.
Yeah, I agree.
But this is like. Sorry. Prior to this, I was very staunch. Like, oh, you know what? Just maybe even anything legendary could be in the command zone in Commander. Like, acknowledging that it has its own restrictions, and that, like that having like a colorless equipment limits what you can put into your deck. Like, okay, whatever. Like, that was my mindset on it up until that point. And then having played even just a few games with this, I'm just like, no. Yeah. Like, creatures and planeswalkers are important because all colors have a few ways to interact with them.
Oh, I mean, all colors can interact with creatures by design, and all colors can interact by planeswalkers by the very design that you can attack planeswalkers.
Right.
But having just a value generating, and it's free, and so it's just like, can you? And it's like, how many problems have we had these past couple years now with things that just shit out free value? And so, like,
Right.
I know Brawl isn't the
past couple of years.
like, for 20
the
for the
entire
past
life of the game.
The past 25 years, the past couple 25 years. And it's like, I know Brawl's not the most important thing, and I know that Brawl was designed as a multiplayer format, but in reality, Arena Brawl, like 1v1 Arena Brawl is like, that's how we play Commander on Arena. It's clearly an important enough format that it's always going live, and like, there's calls for bans, and again, I can't like be like, that's definitely what we need, but it's for everyone who I've spoken to or like seen on Reddit is very annoyed by this. And so like, and like, I get the desire for, like, I like flipping free spells, and like, Kinnan I think was even close to the line when Noda was way over the line. And like, you know the deck I'm excited to build? It's that green red uncommon where you can make snow artifacts, and then like
they make the snow manoliths, and then
so
it's kind of like a powered down version of Kinnan.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so it's just like, don't get me wrong.
Clarity, I lost a little bit of the thread of the rant there. Are we talking about 5-color being a problem, or are we talking about free spells being a problem?
Tuned out a long time ago.
I mean, both. For me, it's the free spells aren't good. Like, Winota was too good, and Winota was just 2 colors. But just 5-stuff, good stuff piles that are also free value, which Golos always getting a land, and then paying a bunch of mana and getting a free spell. Niv Mizzet drawing you 5+ cards consistently. Kenrith being able to compete. Now, Kenrith isn't free, and Kenrith is always the most disgusting when coupled with the 4-mana enchantment that makes stuff free. So like, and like, Kenrith is probably the place where I'd be like, if we have to have a good stuff pile, like, I understand there's a desire for 5-color. Kenrith is probably okay.
Kenrith is fine.
Because you need to keep spending mana on him. So like, I've had a lot of good games with Kenrith, but even Kenrith is, oh gosh, you can keep reusing stuff and get all this value. But like, if Kenrith is the limit they wanted to set, I'd be fine with it. But I'm not looking forward to playing a format where it's like, okay, I now have to beat another 5-color deck that just runs every good spell and every good piece of removal and every good creature and every good planeswalker, and then starts getting to do 2 excellent things a turn while I have to frantically try to keep pace.
So the theory behind it, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is that 5-color, getting that actually out on the board is hard to do.
It's not.
But
it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. Like, hypothetically, when they're designing this, they design cards that utilize all the colors, like Kenrith, like they do, because theoretically it was supposed to be hard for you to have all that color of mana out on your board. And the problem that we are ranting about is that it's actually not hard. There's too much fixing. There's too many tools to be able to do it.
Go ahead.
So there's a dynamic here that I think is important to state. So in regular constructed Magic, a card being more colors makes your deck have to be more restrictive to accommodate it. But in Commander and Brawl, a card being more colors allows you more freedom in deck construction.
And ideally, yeah. So Golos was crazy because Golos was colorless, and then would go out and fix the rest of your crazy good stuff. So Golos was his own crazy problem. Not even touching Field of the Dead. And Kenrith, one of the things I like about Kenrith is just white, so you don't have to as a casting cost. So you don't. I built a Mardu Kenrith deck. So like, and Kenrith, like we said, wasn't just all free stuff. He had a lot of utility, but not all free. But Niv Mizzet and this one in particular, in this card, in the bridge in particular, are they each cost each one of each color, and so that is supposed to be very restrictive. But because Brawl is slower and because it's a 1-of format, it's not as restrictive. And like Lily said, not only is it not as hard to cast, you get to, in addition, run everything. So, like, I was talking about that green-red card, which is very cool, and there's a lot of ramp, but I only get those 2 colors in my deck. So if there's a great black card, I'm not playing it. But these decks just get to go, I get to do all the fixing. I'll generally get away with it. There'll be enough green ramp or fixing that I can just expect a turn early. And then with Niv Mizzet, it was draw all these cards. And then with the bridge, it's just like, okay, I'm going to just keep all this great removal or interaction in my hand. Boom, great planeswalker. Boom, great creature. And why would you run anything except exceptional planeswalkers and creatures when your plan is to ramp, bridge, remove their answers, and then generate free value? So like, oh, look, I put in 3 planeswalkers. There's an Ugin or a Garruk or a whatever other 6-mana walker that's great.
You're just playing 2 must-answer threats every single turn.
Yeah.
Right. Well, your must-answer enchantment is on the board that only, like, 2 color... Like, how many spot removal enchantment removals do you run in your Brawl deck?
You need to run a lot now if you want to try to be able to interact with this.
More than 2?
Normally, I wouldn't say more than true. Normally, I'd say, like, artifact enchantment plus... Because, I mean, like, if I played a lot of Questing Beast. I played a lot of that deck. Normally, I would run, like, 2 artifact enchantment plus in the green deck that can answer this easily. And so now if you're, like, in black, red, or black, blue, it's like... You've got the Pyreka's poison, the Pyreka's whatever. You've got the 2-mana one you guys mentioned, with a swarm one where you take the damage equal to CMC.
Oh, and it's a sorcery too.
It's a sorcery.
Right.
So, like, yeah, I would love to see that toned back. Or if Wizards just says we need to print these cards because the fans love them, just ban them in Brawl. No one gives a shit. No one's being like, there's too many Brawl bans. No one cares. Don't ruin Standard, and then, like, for the reasonable audience who likes Arena Brawl, just ban stuff in 1v1 if it's going to be miserable. Well, they might still. We're a week out, so.
When Omnith was adjacent to this problem. Like, Omnith isn't technically a 5-color commander. But, like, it's the same issue.
All the best colors, the fixing to do it, and then all the free value.
Right, and you don't have to run any bad cards. All of the cards you're running are cards that are, like, standard tier 1 playable. Like,
yeah.
Oh god, do you remember, like, and I might be going, like, way too hard into, like, old school EDH player here, but do you remember when we had, like, 5 color legendary creatures in total?
Yeah,
they all, like, sucked.
Yeah, you could play, like, Chromat or Horde of Notions, and, like, you just played those
Corona, if you're tribal.
Yeah, like, because those were decent beaters in a pinch. Like, that was.
Or a Child of Alara before there was the rule that made Child of Alara's dies trigger works. Like, you could run Child of Alara and then a bunch of ways to get Child of Alara back to your hand or the command zone. Like, the options weren't good.
Yeah, you had, like, 5, 6 commanders, and we've gotten, like, how many 5-color commanders have we gotten in the last 3 years?
I mean, I could find out pretty quickly.
I'm going to right now.
A number.
Store, right? I would posit that we've probably doubled our number of 5-color commanders in the last 5 years.
It's gonna be easy here. I would agree with that. Let me see. This is gonna be easy enough. I can do it on my phone.
And they're all good.
No, and like I remember them talking when they were like trying to relaunch Brawl. It's like, we're going to make sure that we try to get as many.
Tazri.
Yeah, which I mean that one was okay. Tazri didn't ruin everything. There we go. There aren't any 5-color cards called Feed the Swarm.
Nice.
Sorry, yeah, I was. Color. Why is that not working? His commander search.
I do want to just throw out there. The Niv Mizzet art is pretty.
Oh, I mean it's that was a card that I completely underestimated. I thought, like, what a janky way, like what how lame, and then it's like a staple in Pioneer. I remember, like, Eric beating me to death with that, and like in all of the Brawl games I played with Eric was that is like Eric just playing Arch Enemy and winning with the Niv Mizzet deck.
Oh, yeah.
In a 4-player game, I don't think it would be an issue.
No, in a 4-player game, it probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder to win with that deck in a multiplayer than it is in 1v1.
Honestly, we've talked about this before. 1v1 Brawl and multiplayer Brawl are different games.
Yeah, no, absolutely they are. And as much as I love Brawl, like, I just don't... It's not as big of a thing. It just didn't really take off in paper. I wanted it to, but, yeah, so if arena's where we play it, we need to shift.
Yeah, because I wonder if, when people play Brawl in paper, do they play 1v1 a whole lot? I think, thinking back when I played in paper in the before times, I think I usually played Brawl with at least a couple of people sitting around.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, and this was the problem when they first introduced Brawl too. Like, the primary method that they have to observe games and collect data is from 1v1 matches. And so, like, you could argue that on the original run on Magic Online, like, Brawl might not have been that big a deal. It definitely would not have been that big a deal in a 3 or 4 player game, because you can only really hard counter one person's spells, and then you get taken out by the rest of the table. But, like, it was extremely oppressive in the way that the majority of people who didn't have playgroups played it, and that was the corporate facing aspect of the game, was those online matches.
So it makes me wonder that, I mean, could they have a different ban list or limit list for 1v1 versus multiplayer Brawl, in general versus like just online?
I think they did.
No, the big thing was when they separated the standard ban list from the Brawl ban.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, it's like I'm all about that. Really quick, I have our list. So here's some oldies. These are old 5-color commanders. So Atog.
Oh, Atog.
Oh, forgot that.
Child of Alara. Chromat. We had Horde of Notions. Corona False God.
Yeah.
So then we've got newer ones. We've got Niv Mizzet Reborn, Okagachi Vengeful Kami, Progenitus.
Yep.
Reaper King was Lorwyn.
Reaper King was like
right
14 years ago. I don't think that counts as
that's so we have
Progenitus and Child of Alara are contemporary.
Yeah.
They're in the same block, like.
So we've got old school Time Spiral Sign of the Dragon. Now we also just have the Dragon, which is nuts. Right. All of the slivers,
Broken Eminence card.
All of the slivers being the most recent sliver being the first sliver, which is nuts.
True. Yeah, I mean, but if you're talking about cards that have been printed that have been Brawl legal, Niv Mizzet, the God Tree, and
Golos.
Yeah, because Tazri didn't really make an impact.
No, not really.
Right. So we have Tazri, who didn't make an impact. We have Kenrith, who is fine, and then we have 3 awful ones. 3 absolutely miserable ones that dominated their respective minigames. And I would consider Omnith to be part of that crew.
Sure. Yeah.
And, okay, there are a couple ones that aren't. So Jigantha, the Wellspring, is technically 5-color and isn't as bad. Joda was also 5-color in the initial launch.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just searching.
Okay. So we've technically had less that didn't fuck anything up. Or I'm sorry, more that didn't fuck anything up than we did the ones that did fuck everything up.
The ones that fucked everything up were the ones that like generated value on ETB or got a bunch of free value. So I mean, it's not I mean, there it is. It's the idea that we pitched out right at the beginning of this as being a bunch of free values really good. But I wish that was something they'd consider more. I know Arena Brawl is probably not what they're thinking about all the time, but like clearly you can print 5-color commanders that are niche or interesting that are not abysmal to play against. Or if it's just abysmal to play, if that's just the reality of like Brawl, Arena Brawl is weird and not really what they intended, and it's a weird hybrid format that kind of came out of a bunch of different things. Accept that and be ready to ban stuff aggressively. And we do have a distinct Brawl ban list because Winota got banned from Brawl. We have the 2-mana bear that doesn't let you play your commanders banned in Brawl. So like we have a Brawl ban list. So like they could do it. They could tomorrow ban the bridge and no one would bat an eye. And I don't even think it would fall into the category I don't think complaining about Standard needing consistent bans is anywhere near the same as saying you have to ban stuff every now and then in Brawl. Like, I think those are
because they don't design the sets for Brawl. Brawl is entirely incidental.
And I think if they say that Brawl is not our main focus of design. We know people love it. We want the games to be varied and fun on Arena. Therefore, for the format's health, this is banned. I don't think that is a failing in the same way that needing to ban repeated Standard cards is a failing.
Right. It's like the people who howl, like, hey, come on, Watsy, how could you have not known that this was going to break Vintage? I promise you they spent exactly 30 seconds thinking about that. Like, they don't care. It does not matter to them. They would vastly prefer if Legacy and Vintage cease to exist entirely. So, like...
Because then they don't have to worry about the reserve list even being a concern for people.
Right.
Like, if those formats died, like, Commander players would care about the reserve list, but...
Total side note, the day may come where the rules committee just acts as the reserve list cards.
Good?
I mean... my Angus McKenzie.
Also, it is interesting to me that socio-political values change over time. So having formats like Vintage and Legacy, sometimes you are playing cards that don't necessarily jive with, current sentiments and stuff like that, as we've seen. And I wonder if we'll have, speaking in 2030 about Magic, we'll be talking about some 2020 cards that had problems.
Also, side note, it's interesting. You could see. I applaud WotC, and I'm glad that they've done what they've done. I know this is a bit of a side note, but I've been playing a lot of 40k recently, and WotC was like, "Oh gosh, there's a card with Crusade in the name. We should ban it." And James Workshop goes, "Hey guys, we have an exciting new way to play 40k. It's called Crusade."
Yeah, but they lean into the religious imagery, and you could argue that undercutting the like positioning it as a bad thing is part of the default setting.
And I don't think WotC wants the idea of white to be think about a holy war based on race and religion, where I think that's a fair point. 40k completely wants it to be like, imagine a holy war based on alien species and religion, because
wouldn't that be awful?
Yeah, isn't this terrible? But also, aren't these Space Marines cool? Anyway, sorry, talking about 40k.
Getting into 40k, but no, I mean, I think you all agree with this too, that it's Standard is the thing. Like, that is what tournaments are based around. That is what, the player base is based around. Standard is Standard. It's called Standard for a reason, and them designing just for Standard is not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm glad we're getting, if we're shifting Modern to being the old format that's really crazy powerful, and Pioneer is the mid-tier format, like, that's okay. I completely agree with your sentiment about Standard being the main thing. And, even though Limited is more accessible than it's ever been, they've been stripping Limited out of tournaments because it doesn't, esport well. Limited is fun to play, but not fun to watch. Standard needs to be fun to play and fun to watch, seems to be the current focus.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm so, invested in the game, but, I think Limited's really fun to watch.
I think Limited is harder to appreciate if you don't have a solid understanding of the formats. If you're I loved my favorite Limited in the longest time was Ikoria. Ikoria Draft was some of my favorite draft when it was.
I hated it.
Oh, I loved me some Ikoria Draft.
Oh, Ikoria. Sorry, I heard Zendikar.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, Ikoria was fun. It was powerful.
I think I have a playset of every card in Ikoria on Arena because I drafted it constantly.
No, so Ikoria was great.
I would love to I bet I could watch an Ikoria draft and I think get a lot out of it and be really entertained. But if I was watching a draft for a format I didn't spend literally dozens or hundreds of hours playing, I am much more. I would. That's the thing. If it's a big tournament that's streaming, and I'll be like, oh, what are they playing? And it's like, oh, it's Limited this morning. I'll go, I'll tune in the afternoon. I don't really watch Limited. I would much rather watch Standard or Modern or Pioneer or Legacy or literally anything but Limited.
God, this thinking about Magic as an esport is an interesting thing for me because, like, you think about fighting games as an esport, and someone watching that randomly that doesn't know much about the game, they obviously, you know, they see two characters fighting, and they can understand kind of what's going on. They can understand, you know, the kind of motif of the character. How much, like, install base there has to be to actually understand, and how good the commentators have to be for Magic to be an esport that, you know, is successful.
So, in that example, I don't think Smash Bros. Melee makes a good spectator esport.
I mean, like, to be fair, like, I think as much as people hate, like, wave shining and, like, Fox shenanigans, watching it done is fun.
Okay, but is it fun because you know enough to appreciate
Post show. I
wonder.
banished this conversation to the post show. One thing before we wrap up on this, is Kaldheim impressions in general. Something that I noticed on, I'm sure there's a few, but that I'm.
Can I just?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, but no, I interrupted. But get to me because I have things I want to say.
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna say I'm kind of happy to see things that are more executable in digital happening more in standard. Like I liked the Godzilla, the Mecha Godzilla, or the Crystalline Giant, where it get a random counter on, like a ability counter. We have a couple cards with ability counters now because it's really easy to do there. And the one that's sprung to mind that I played with a little bit was that like new giant, like the uncommon, like 7/6 for 7. That when it dies, it just shoots a random creature, enemy creature for 7. Like maybe that comes off to some people as Hearthstone-y. I like that kind of effect, and it's not like you couldn't do that in paper easily enough. It's you have die, you can shuffle them up. There's dozens of ways to do it, but I'm happy they're leaning into it because they're accepting a lot of people are playing standard on Arena, so let's design some cards that maybe play a little better in digital. So, I don't know. I personally like that, but I know there's some people who don't.
That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the giant, just real quick on the giant, like most games that I've played that giant, when it died, it didn't matter that it was random because they only had like one creature left because they, you know, triple block to kill a 7/6 trample.
Yeah.
Is limited.
JC, yeah, what you wanted to bring a few things up?
Oh, just I actually am really digging a lot of things about this set. I like Snowlands. I like Foretell. I like that we're getting cards with like variable types. I really love the Valkyries and the themes around it. I love that we get cards that like our Search for Saga card, or we get cards that are like, oh, let me think, protection from god creatures and stuff like that. We're getting like kind of different, you know, like that's really like playing through old weird Magic, like in Chandelar and stuff like that, seeing like Magic like push into like new territories and bring some things back like snow and stuff like that. And honestly, these cards are damn beautiful. Like they have like the northern lights and just colors and all things, and like, you know, like lots of swords and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying this set.
Oh, the Rainbow Valkyries are so cool. Like I love that we aren't like, yeah, it's Norse and yeah, it's cold, but this seems like an incredibly colorful set for like a cold, barren snowscape, which is, well, that's not even what it is. There's like 10 realms. So instead of going into it's cold and it's edgy, it's everything's rainbow and colorful and crazy. Like, no, the art direction in the set is spot on. I love it. Anyone have any final thoughts or things we want to bring up before we wrap up and head to the post show? Okay. Well then, that's it. Kaldheim impressions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are watching live, stick around. There's going to be a post show. If you're not watching live and you want to see the post show, you just need to subscribe to the Patreon for $1 a month, and you'll be able to view all the pre and post show full episodes without the editing or the ad break in there. So $1 a month on Patreon if you're interested in the pre or post show. Otherwise, or anyways, thank you all for tuning in, regardless of when or how you're watching. We will be back in 2 weeks to talk more Magic, so please catch us then. Have a good one, stay safe out there, and make sure to remember who you are.